to be here. I was in Cambodia from December last year until February 22nd is when I got back. And so it's really good to be back, and this place is like 5 miles from my parents' house. So I got to have dinner there and then come here. And I couldn't enjoy any of that food because I would throw up. From nervousness, not because of Okay. So I guess go on a little journey. I don't know. Where am I? It's a complicated thing being Khmer American and being in Cambodia and negotiating that. And so I wrote a lot about that. This is one of the first poems I wrote when I was there. Where I am. This place is motherland, thick with heat and green, slowly turning to gray and brown, just like the land I left. This place is motherland, but is not home. What is homeland? I am hungry to know what it is to own and feel owned by a place, though I'm attached to nothing but the wind and heartstrings. I despise sharing this place with tall, white-skinned people on holiday, devouring temples and beaches and cheap food, massages and manicures. I despise myself for how similar I am to them, how much I crave the same comforts, how much I take part in destruction, how I am a result of it. I claim this place as my heritage. My inheritance is the gravity of earth, the flow of water. I float, I drift, I belong nowhere and everywhere. It's all becoming the same, and nothing will ever be the same. Let's see, where else do I go? Where else did I go?
Nowhere.
So while I was there, the issue with the Tet Parade happened, where the LGBTQ community that had been welcomed for the last 2 years were excluded. And part of the negotiations to allow the community to be included was that, well, you have to make sure you don't kiss this year. And I just thought that was really ludicrous, and I wrote about it. In Little Saigon. I was 13, keeping my truth hidden behind computer screens. I was 16, and I type-whispered truth to a few trusted friends. I was 17 when I took a risk, spoke truth aloud, was embraced. I was 18, falling in first love and learning to be brave. I was 25, could hardly believe I was wearing my truth, joining the parade. They've told us to kiss so many times, at times with their eyes, at times with their fists. Now they want promises on paper, as though demands made in legalese say any less clearly, you have no right to be here. As though a kiss, celebrating a new year, hoping for a new era is so terrible, is more dangerous than the message, you have no right to be here if your love looks like this. How are you? Are you all okay? I think I'm okay. I stapled all of these together so they wouldn't all fall apart, but they're not exactly in the order I want to read them in, so you get to enjoy me flipping through them. This is dedicated to spaces like this and the people who come up on stage in spaces like this. It's called Need. I will chase your words to the ends of the earth. I need them. There is no end to this earth, nor, I think, to my need. The words reside in infinity, in their infinite ability to twist and change the world. The words are clay and chisel at once. They can be molded to fit our needs, and at the same time, strung together in some surprising manner, they can chip away at the way our world stands. So I chase the words. I chase them to their authors, some of whom are in this room. I hunger to know, to see where they came from, to find some understanding of how they, how we, how I came to be, how I came to be seduced by them, by their authors, if only for the duration of a reading. How words are at once submissive and dominant, bending to our wills and bending our wills. Words, they are a drug, yes. They are also nourishment, and I will chase them as my lungs chase the next breath, unconsciously, with exactly the same urgency. This one's about tomatoes. I really like tomatoes. I really like growing them. It's really easy to grow them. If you get a good tomato from Trader Joe's, pop out the seeds into a little dirt, it'll grow. I promise. And if it doesn't, you can probably find my email on the internet. And then we can talk about it. I'm serious. Grow tomatoes. They're delicious. Okay, this is called Variety and Value. Once upon a time, there were no heirloom tomatoes. There were just tomatoes. All of them different colored, oddly shaped, raucously irregular and unpredictable. Eventually, the ones who were most uniform were the ones chosen by industrialization. Planted row after row after row, packaged up and consumed while their wilder relatives were slowly choked out of existence. Now the heirlooms are making a comeback. The tomatoes are allowed to intermingle, and they're more expensive than their uniform cousins. Is this the only way we can understand the beauty of wildness? To nearly choke it out for its unruliness and then fawn over it as it nears extinction? The story is too common. Grow tomatoes.
You're so good at staples.
Huh?
You're so good at stapling.
Oh yeah, I stapled my chapbooks myself. Oh yeah, I have chapbooks. They're $5. Good segue. Thanks, Audrey. So, if love were food. Thanks, Quincy.
Quincy to the rescue.
If love were food. Too much dessert makes you sick. Meat makes you shit. Starch makes you constipated. I want to be a salad, with just the right amount of creamy dressing, a few crunchy surprises, vibrantly green, leafy, nourishing, forkable. Glad you enjoyed that, Micah. Okay, so how many of you are second generation? Many in the room. Hello, hello. We are here, we are many. It's always hard kind of negotiating that identity. Like, I spent a lot of time trying to fit in with American culture, but then now I'm trying to figure out how I can be Cambodian too. And being in Cambodia, I was thinking a lot about, oh, how do I have an authentic Cambodian experience? How am I going to be here in a way that doesn't feel like I'm here as a colonizer? And I guess the best way for me was to understand Cambodia as my roots, and that they don't get really cut off. And I still have a lot of family there, so I'm fortunate in that way, where I had people who were always looking out for me, and sometimes to a fault, but it was really nurturing, and a lot of healing happened at that time. So I have a couple of pieces about that. Roots. I have my grandmother's penchant for burying fish bones in the yard. I have my father's chin, skin, and forearms. I have my uncle's persistent love of mangoes. I hope I have my mother's stalwart heart. It took 3 months out of the country for me to remember how I belong to those with whom I share blood and history, to allow myself to belong, no matter how many ways I feel different. Okay, so I'll end with this piece, which I edited just before I came, so hopefully I don't mess up. This is called A Story Read to Me. I wonder if my mother once thought English looked like a mess of nonsensical lines, drawn at harsh angles, absent of the curves and gymnastic syntax of Khmer script. I wonder if English looked as much a mess to her as Khmer did to me until so recently. 2 months ago, I experienced at 27 what I wish I had 20 years ago. A story read to me in my mother's native tongue by my mother. It wasn't a story about being terribly hungry. It wasn't a story about losing everything. There was no talk of landmines, night killings, brutal work, or starvation. Just a jungle and a clever old man and a foolish lion. And my mother reading it to me as I looked over her shoulder, amazed at the tangle she deciphered with ease. And I knew I had to learn Khmer, because I have so often corrected her English in my head and aloud, because I can't remember when I decided she couldn't help me with my homework, because no one in the refugee camps ever told my mother how wonderful it would be for her children to listen to her read in her old language. And immigrant families trying hard to scrape by are encouraged to give their children wholly, heart and tongue and history, to their adopted country. I knew I had to learn Khmer because too many years have gone by during which I left her to struggle with language alone. Thank you.
Your water.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Narendra.